It looks like the government has decided to start murdering civilians in Lebanon. I guess they're going to start claiming that uh, Lebanon is Israeli land and that their God gave it to them, so it justifies them killing civilians in Lebanon, or that some militant group attacked them so they get to kill civilians, or whatever excuse the Israeli government wants to use at the time to justify them killing civilians somewhere else.
At least 4 civilians killed as Israel has hit southern Lebanon. This just hours after Hezbollah strikes wounded multiple people inside of Israel. The latest escalation stoking fears of a second front after Gaza. Well, for more, we can.
So they killed some civilians because a militant group attacked them. Yeah, that's what guys do, right? Kill civilians because you get attacked by a militant group. You would think they would just want to strike the militant group and not the civilians. But the Israeli government doesn't care about civilians, they'll kill them.
Cross now to France 24 senior correspondent Catherine Norris Trent. Catherine, we've seen escalations over the last 4 months several times at Israel's northern border. This is being qualified as perhaps one of the most serious.
I wonder if the United States will support the Israeli government going to war with Lebanon. I mean, the Israeli government's going to support, the United States is going to support the Israeli government no matter what it does, even though they'll pretend to be against the Israeli government killing civilians. They will still give the Israeli government money and arms.
Right, tensions have been simmering up there on that border between Lebanon and Israel pretty much ever since October the 7th, and there's been rocket fire from Hezbollah and strikes from the Israeli side as well. But this does seem to be stepping up a notch. The chief of staff of the Israeli army was up touring the north today, visiting local troops and trying to reassure people from the area, saying that Israel was about to carry out a new series of strikes on Lebanon, and said that this will be offensive in nature and that they will use all the tools and capacities at their disposal. He said that Hezbollah will pay a heavy price for its strikes on Israel. Several civilians reported wounded in attacks on Israeli soil there, and the Israeli Air Force.
So is attacking civilians uh Lebanon or Hezbollah paying the heavy price? Because how does that make any sense? A militant group attacks you, so in order to punish the militant group, you attack civilians. How does that make you no different than, that makes you no different than the terrorists you're fighting against if you're going to do the same things that they do.
An army has responded there in strikes in southern Lebanon. So we've been hearing about these fears that this new front could open up further, could expand, become a new major center of war in Israel. And there's a feeling today that tensions there just stepped up a notch. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Meanwhile, the press to go on to Rafah continues despite international pressure for Israel to ease off.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Benjamin Netanyahu.
Well, yeah, the Israeli government is going to continue its ground offensive into Rafah as well as strikes because it's part of their plan to corral all the Palestinians into Rafah where they can't escape. That's why they kept telling Palestinians that the newest safe zone that they created is further and further south, and kept bombing every single safe zone that they told Palestinians to go to because they were hurting them to the south so that they can enact their final solution of ethnically cleansing the Palestinians in Gaza.
who is heeding the repeated calls from allied countries and from countries across the world, especially Arab states, not to press on with the military offensive, especially in Rafah. He's just said that the Israeli delegation won't be going back to peace talks in Cairo on Thursday, saying Hamas has come up with no new prospects at all for a hostage release deal. And I have to say, people we were speaking to down on the southern border of Israel, down on that border with Egypt today, we were filming.
I wonder how the family members of the two hostages killed by Israeli bombing feel about the Israeli government killing their family members instead of saving them when they easily could have saved them.
With them, and they lots of them were saying they wanted the military operation to continue. And in fact, we were talking with a group of protesters, perhaps up to 100, a few dozen in any case, who go, they say, 3 times a week to checkpoints on Israel's southern border with Egypt to try and stop deliveries of humanitarian aid that are coming there to be inspected to go on into Gaza. And when we ask them like how they could do this when clearly, you know, the civilian situation is so dire inside Gaza, this is something that aid agencies have been reiterating for weeks now, if not months, about the whole of Gaza. They say that they believe that the aid is being fully diverted to Hamas, and they don't see any reason why they should be fueling their enemy. So very hard attitude.
So these people think they get to dictate where aid goes to, and they're effectively helping the Israeli government starve the Palestinian people. They're they're pretty complicit in the genocide that's going on, and they seem pretty happy about it.
Attitudes down there. They're not, you know, the whole of Israeli society by any means, but they are managing to slow down these aid deliveries. So the tensions, of course, remaining very high, and a lot of public opinion here inside.
If Palestinians were preventing uh, the hostages from being freed in whatever way, you know, these same people would be screaming about how the Palestinians are monsters and should be wiped out. But because it's right-wing Israelis doing this, they feel they're justified in helping their government starve Palestinians because they want to claim that the aid is being given to Hamas.
Israel does remain in favor of this offensive.